Hi friends, Joe Edelman here with another gear review video, this time for the Arena 2000 amp modeling and multi-effects processor from the good folks over at Donner. They sent me this unit to demo and review and are currently having a Black Friday promotion on Amazon that you should definitely check out at the link in the description. This unit sells for about $215 US normally, and like most of their products, packs a lot of punch and features for its price class. I'll go into more detail in a minute, but in my experience, the Arena was far from perfect, but still had some very cool features that I could see being useful for some applications. So what is the Arena? It appears to be Donner's attempt to enter the Line 6 Helix, Neural DSP, Fractal, and so on family of amp modelers and multi-effect units, but at a more beginner-friendly price point and feature set. This unit does do a lot of the things those others do, namely a slate of popular amp models, cabinet impulse responses, and effects that are based on popular analog stomp boxes that can then be customized, reordered, and saved into patches that in turn can then be switched among on the fly. It does, however, have its limitations. There isn't the same level of block selection and routing customization that the Helix has, for example, and you don't get a separate effects loop to bring in outboard effects. The inbuilt expression pedal is a nice touch, albeit a little bit small and stiff, and is supposed to have a push-to-activate functionality that allows you to set up two different controls in the same patch. I had a little trouble at first getting this press feature to activate, but I was able to solve that through the calibration sequence in the pedal. Also, while you could customize the minimum and maximum or heel and toe values for something like volume, it didn't seem possible for the pitch shifter's pitch parameter, for example, so I couldn't use it like a traditional whammy pedal. The other thing that was a little bit weird for me was the preset switching versus control modes. You had to press on the preset button that you selected again for the mode to switch, which then meant you could only use the other two switches for manual effect stomping, which seemed unnecessarily limiting. I would have assigned this mode switching to a separate switch, similar to how the HX Stomp implements this feature. It did score some points for me in other categories though. In terms of physical connections, I liked that both quarter-inch and XLR stereo output jacks were included on the unit, with separate level controls and the ability to select whether cab emulation was active on each. This, plus the headphone jack and its own separate level control, and the ability to carry audio over USB-C, means that it can very flexibly integrate into your practice, studio, or stage applications. I also really liked the included drum machine functionality. Even though the sounds that were there were a little bit basic or cheesy, this paired with the pedal's phrase looper made a great way to quickly build up a backing track for practicing or jamming solo. As far as the quality of the sounds in the unit, it felt like a bit of a mixed bag. Some of the amp models and effect pedals sounded great, and very close to both their real-world equivalents as well as the versions in other modelers like my Line 6 HX Stomp. I was impressed by the variety of compressor models and parameters included, for example. Others were not as impressive. For example, the pitch shifter had a bit of latency and it couldn't be controlled with the expression pedal the way that I wanted, at least in my initial demoing. And the phaser effects were a bit sterile sounding. Listening to something like the Vox AC30 clean amp model, it didn't feel as lively or as full sounding as its equivalent simulation in the Helix or the Genuine Article. And some of the Fender models felt a little bit cloudy and less present than expected. Again, some of this comes down to the choice of mic and cabinet that you select inside of the unit, but still I could get the general vibe from each amp that was intended, so that was good. The built-in presets were a similar situation. Some of them, especially the kind of high-gain hard rock or metal lead and rhythm patches, sounded really good. The other cleaner, lower-gain or more modulation-heavy patches were a bit weak-sounding. Using the user interface on the pedal to customize patches, as some others have described, is a bit of a laborious process, but not impossible. That being said, I made use of the computer software and the USB connection functionality to spin up a few patches of some of my favorite guitarists for this demo. Have a listen and let me know what you think. In short, I would definitely recommend this unit to a beginner or casual player for a quiet practice setup, and I would probably also recommend it to a studio user who wanted to mess around and get some wild, unique lo-fi tones a la Kevin Parker. But based on the overall strength of the sounds and the user experience, I probably wouldn't recommend it to a professional level player or stage performer. For those applications, I would obviously prefer something like my Line 6 HX Stomp, or a larger Helix, or a Neural, Fractal, etc. That's all for now, folks. Stay tuned for more gear reviews like this, as well as covers, original songs, and other instructional content. Be well, and I'll see you soon.